Hello, happy 4th of July. Welcome to the Speed Palace. Guess what? They did it. They raced. It was fun. I'm just happy that I did get something for my money. And we went through the whole program, and Anthony Macri did what we expected Anthony Macri to do, but we had a fun night getting there. So let's take it from the top. We started with hot laps. Danny Dietrich was fastest over Anthony Macri, Devin Borden, Justin Whittle, and Justin Peck. And then we went through time trials. Lance DeWeese was fastest over Devin Borden, Justin Whittle, Logan Wagner, Kyle Reinhardt, Anthony Macri, Brent Marks, Mike Wagner, Devin Adams, that was a surprise, and Ryan Smith. They're shooting off fireworks over there. We'll see if that happens again. We went into heat race number 1. Kyle Reinhardt and Ryan Smith were the front row, and we saw Reinhardt jump out pretty early, jumped the start, actually he jumped so early, and we had to come back and try again. They got it together, and one guy who really capitalized was Cam Smith. He had a good run from the back. He started at the tail, and then the engine died. And that was pretty much the end of Cam Smith for the night. That caused the yellow at the white flag, so they had a one-lap shootout to finish the first heat race. It was side-by-side to the checkers, and just by a nose, Kyle Reinhardt won over Lance DeWeese, Ryan Smith, TJ Stutz, and Landon Myers got the final transfer. In heat race number 2, it was Anthony Macri and Mike Walter on the front row. There were great battles all around the racetrack, including the second place battle and a battle for the transfer between Lucas Wolf and Austin Bishop. It was pretty spread out at the end, though, as those battles didn't last the whole way through, and at the end, there was no catching him. Anthony Macri won over Devin Borden, Mike Walter, Steve Buckwalter, and Austin Bishop got that final transfer. Heat race number 3 saw Brent Marks and Freddie Raymer on the front row. That is a front row not to be messed with. The track surface is a mess, and it was at that point in the track pretty significant that it was a mess. Jake Karklin was hustling 5th place Cody Lehman for most of that heat race, but outside of that, pretty spread out. Brent Marks won over Freddie Raymer, then Jeff Halligan, Justin Whittle, and Cody Lehman got the final transfer. 4th and final heat race of the night, Mike Wagner and Danny Dietrich on the front row. It took 2 tries to get them started, and on the second try, Mike Wagner was able to get a good jump. Dylan Norris had a lot of momentum at the start. He was able to move sort of from the back of the group into transfer positions, and he had a nice little battle between himself and Logan Wagner. The track looked awful, but he was able to capitalize and get himself up there. So Mike Wagner won over Danny Dietrich, Justin Peck, Logan Wagner, and Dylan Norris. Now, URC was here. They're a 360 series running out of the East Coast, and they were sort of supporting. They were doing their heat races, and there were big dark clouds coming in from the east, so if it was coming from the west, we would have known we were going to get rained out, but fortunately they were to the east, and it looked like they were coming to us, but fortunately they did not get here. The B main had Lucas Wolf and Dylan Cisney on the front row. Cisney opened up an early lead, and it was pretty much train racing for a while until we had Cam Smith get a flat left rear tire and cause a yellow. There were 6 laps to go from there, and then we had Dave Grube blow up his motor, so then we had to restart with 5 to go. Jake Karklin and Lucas Wolf had a nice little battle for second place. That battle went to race end, and Dylan Cisney was able to win the B main over Lucas Wolf, Jake Karklin, and the final transferring position went to Jason Schultz in the 35 car. So now it's time for the A main. The pole went to the Zemco number 1 of Logan Wagner, his dad Mike Wagner aside him. On lap number 1, we had a big crash on the backstretch. TJ Stutz flipped up and over the infield concrete, and he was okay, but it was a pretty significant crash. There was a complete restart as they hadn't completed a lap yet, and Logan Wagner was able to jump to an early lead from there. The field started sorting itself out, and then we saw Danny Dietrich crash in turn 4, and he flipped over, so there was another red flag 3 laps in. There was an open red there because we had just had so much time go by before too long. There was another restart. Anthony Macri sent a huge send on Logan Wagner to try to get the lead, and it did not work. We went 2 more laps. Jason Schultz spun right in front of us and caused another yellow, so another restart. Logan Wagner back on it and got a little bit of a gap between himself and Macri, and then everybody started moving to the bottom of the racetrack. On lap number 12, the lap traffic came into play, and that's where the bottom movement came in. Here comes Anthony Macri as Logan Wagner caught those guys, and Macri was able to make up the ground. At lap 15, he was able to put down a pass on the Zemco number 1, and that would be pretty much all she wrote for Macri. Devin Borden was super good in traffic, and the and then the traffic started screwing him a little bit further in with a little bit of battling going on. Brent Marks had some front wing damage with that lap traffic too, so lap traffic in general did not help really anybody except Anthony Macri. With 4 laps to go, Devin Borden kind of got sucked into the wall, actually right behind me. You can still kind of see where the dirt got flung up. He got sucked into the wall off of his right rear, and it caught and flipped him. It was a pretty significant flip. He was okay though, so with 4 to go, we had to do another restart. Austin Bishop also had no brakes at this point and decided that was the end of his night too. So we restarted, and since he started up front and nobody in front of him and no worries and everything that's happened this whole week, Anthony Macri had nobody to contend against him, and he won at Port Royal. The top 10 is as follows: Anthony Macri over Logan Wagner. Mike Wagner got 3rd. Brent Marks was able to hold on to 4th even with the broken front wing, which was pretty impressive. Justin Peck rounded out the top 5, then Lance DeWeese, Justin Whittle, Mike Walter, Kyle Reinhardt, and Freddie Raymer got the top 10. So at the end of it, now we came in with 120 or so point lead for Macri over Brent Marks. He ended up winning the championship, obviously, because he won the race here by 163 points over Brent Marks, who ended up 2nd. Justin Peck was 3rd, Freddie Raymer 4th, Kyle Reinhardt 5th, Tanner Thorson 6th, Dylan Norris 7th, Danny Dietrich 8th, Lance DeWeese 9th, and TJ Stutz round out the top 10 of Pennsylvania Speedweek points in 2023. So it's all said and done. There was no catching Anthony Macri except for Brent Marks, but he didn't quite have what he needed. And granted, we only raced 6 races instead of 10, but he just didn't have what he needed to catch Anthony Macri this week. So it was a fun time. I was fortunate to go to every race. Unfortunately, Matt is not here tonight, but he did help me with this video, and that's why I'm going to start off this part of the closing by thanking Matt Faust for everything he has done this week. Literally, this would have been impossible if it wasn't for Matt Faust helping me, and I owe him a huge debt of gratitude for everything he's done to help get these recaps up every night, to help with all the videos, just to get places and to have fun with it too. So I want to thank him. I want to thank my parents for dealing with the back end of everything. Here's my dad. There he is. Dad came with us to the track, but they had a lot of patience putting up with me running in and out and doing all the crap I did. We have to send a massive thank you to Matt's parents because we stayed there for a couple nights, and I don't like to come into people's lives and upset sort of their rhythm, and I tried not to do that. I hope I didn't, but they were very patient with us and very supportive, so a huge thank you to Matt's parents. I want to thank that guy behind the camera. Our main man, Bobby from B-Blaze Vintage, is holding the camera tonight. He did it once before with Matt aside of me at Lincoln, and he's been a huge help. B-Blaze Vintage Night, even some merch, so there will be a link down below to check him out. Obviously, he's been a huge help this whole week, and he's been a big part of sort of the fun we've had at the tracks. We want to thank Nate from Apex Media because he's done the same. He's been helping with the camera. He held it at Williams Grove. He's been hanging with us, having fun, and he's just a great guy. He does really great work behind the camera. He makes me look like a schmuck, but he's a great guy in front of it too. So I want to thank him. And I want to thank Jeremy Cross for hanging out with us. I want to thank Jake McVeigh for being such a good sport this week. We got to meet him at Hagerstown. We saw him at Lincoln. He's a great guy. He does videos himself, so I always try not to do the same things he does because I want to let him have his own thunder. But all of the thank yous aside, Port Royal is the ending place for PA Speedweek 2023. 2024 starts on June 28th next year at Williams Grove, so we are very excited to get there, but we got a year to kind of just ride out the local scene, have some World of Outlaws shows, have some All-Stars shows. Tuscarora 50 will be here in September, so we got all sorts of goodies coming for the rest of 2023, but I want to thank everybody watching. Huge thank you to everybody who's supporting the efforts that myself, Matt, Bobby, everybody has put into these videos this week and just getting them out there, getting some views on them, showing them to people who like sprint car racing. That's what we're all about here, trying to spread the word and spread the love for sprint cars. So with all that said, I'm Joe Donahue. Happy 4th of July to everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.